Okay, we might just get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth and final installment of SUCE's academic series. Today, we're pleased to host a bunch of very nice and lovely PhD students. But just before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that we have our Careers Night tickets opening on the 29th of April, and we genuinely only have a limited amount of space available, so make sure to grab them as soon as you can. All right, so just to get started, as I said earlier, we have a bunch of lovely PhD students here today, and I would just like you all to introduce yourselves and give us a bit of background as to what you're researching into. And we can start off with Tim.
All right. So hi everyone. My name is Tim. Thanks everyone for who's hosting this event and giving me the opportunity to speak here. So I'm a pretty new PhD student. I'm only finishing my first year of my PhD. So I'm actually not that much older than you guys. I finished my bachelor's about a year and a bit ago. So I'm actually not that old. And so I jumped straight to PhD after I did my graduate. And I was basically just doing my PhD with my sister supervisor that I was doing my sister with. So my topic is about measuring bus performance, and I'm using data set called GTFS, which is basically the system that feeds the bus information onto Google Maps. So that's pretty much what I'm doing today. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. Jotheeshwar, would you like to go next?
Hi everyone, I'm Jotheeshwar. I just started my PhD in 2020 March, but because of the COVID breakout, and I couldn't travel sooner, so I took a 6 months of break and I resumed it, and I'm here. And I did my bachelor's in civil engineering and master's in earthquake engineering, and my current PhD topic is effects of cyclic loading on partially saturated soils. So my supervisor is Professor David and Professor Abbas. So, and thanks Anju for organizing this and inviting me.
No worries. Thank you so much. And Yutaka, would you like to go next?
Yeah, so my name is Yutaka. I started PhD in 2020 March, about 2 years ago now. Oh, that's quick. And I also did undergraduate degree in civil in this uni, and then I worked in an industry for 2 years, and then I came back here to do a PhD. My research topic is on a laser cleaning on a structural steel. So basically, we are trying to apply laser to like decontaminate the surface of bridges. We are looking at the Sydney Harbour bridges now, but hoping to apply the technique to other structure in the future too. Yeah, so that's what I do in my research. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we have one more PhD student today, Leonardo, who will be joining us at 5:30. All right, cool. So just to go back, Tim, did you tell us what you were researching into?
I'll better say I'm a transport PhD student, so I'm focusing on transport. So currently I'm just trying to correlate the bus performance. So if it's like bus performance is about travel speed and travel reliability. So how fast is bus is traveling, how reliable your trip is. So it's more like how good the schedule adherence are. So I'm trying to relate that with the bus lane data to see whether bus lane improves the bus performance or not, or does bus lane actually bring more buses onto the corridor, or actually reduces the bus performance. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. Cool.
Oh, interesting. Now, obviously, this research is something you have to commit to for the next several years. So how do you go about choosing your actual research topic? And I might just give that back to you, Tim.
Yeah. Sure. So I did a lot of talk with my supervisor before I started my PhD. So Emily Moylan is my supervisor. So we more like we discussed my interests, and another important thing I consider is the data availability. So nowadays, getting your data set ready is not that easy, especially within New South Wales. The New South Wales government has actually been constraining the publishing the data for a few years already. So it just, we don't have a limited data source that available, and I just want to do something really related to transport, related to geometric design. So that's how we came up with this topic. Yeah.
Interesting. And Jotheeshwar, how did you end up actually choosing your topic?
Yeah, actually, my master's means thesis was related to soil dynamics. It is so much specific, so I thought I should expand my horizon. So in general geotechnical engineering, so I started applying all the PhD positions which needs specialization in soil dynamics. So I found interesting project with Professor David, and that's what I ended up. And but the project is all about like improving the design aspects of filling soil. Actually, we usually use means partially saturated and means sand filling or any filling below the foundation, or and means above the foundation or below the roadways. So there is no proper design procedure or design setup for those soil. We just compact it to OMC and just you means lay the foundation over it. But usually the design critical conditions are considered as fully saturated or fully dry condition. But more practically, the soil which is filled is partially saturated after a while, after a lifetime of the structure. So means we are improving the design aspect by considering the more practical situation of the soil.
Interesting. Thank you so much. And Yutaka, how about you? How did you end up choosing your research topic?
The thing is, so my major in undergrad time was structural stuff. So it's like building stuff. And I did my, how do I say? And I worked in like as a structural engineer. And like I thought maybe I want to do something different. And I was thinking that time, my supervisor in the undergrad time, Squanel, our material supervisor, sent me an email with like, there's a PhD opportunity here. And then he showed me like few, the research topics that he had. And one of them was like a laser cleaning of Sydney Harbour Bridge. So I was like, maybe that's quite interesting. So I picked that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's quite
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Tim, this next question is for you. You went straight into a PhD after graduating from an undergraduate degree in civil engineering from USYD. So what actually interested you in a PhD?
Yeah, well, just I just never feel like I've studied enough. Like after my bachelor's, I just feel like there's still a lot of things I want to explore on. And also, to be honest, I actually compare the pay rate with PhD and my friends. So it's not that much difference. And like if I do another 3 year here and get another degree, and like why don't I just do a degree and just continue on like what I want to do, because if you go enter a workplace, you're more likely get assigned work. But if I do PhD, I can basically lead my own research direction. So I was like, why don't I just do a PhD, get a degree? So that's pretty much how I came out being here. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Thank you for being honest. And Yutaka, as you said earlier, you have undergrad from USYD, and then you took 2 years to work as a structural engineer, and then after that you came back to do a PhD. Why
Yeah.
was it that you came back to do a PhD? Apart from just the opportunity being there, was there anything else?
The first thing is the opportunity. The second thing was because I knew that like once you start working Korea, you have to work like 40 years, you know, till like 60, 65. I
Yeah.
was like, why don't I take 3 or 4 year break now and then do something more, I don't know, could be useful maybe in the future. Having a doctorate degree could be beneficial in a career step. And then I thought it'd be much harder if I want to do it later when I get more money to give up such job and then go uni. Is a lot harder than where I get like not much money and then give up that money and then come here, that kind of thing. So I thought it's either take it or leave, and I just decided to take. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
does that mean in order for you to endure in a PhD, you had to completely stop your work as a structural engineer?
Not really, but you can, but the thing is like, how do I say, you lose, you know, you can't do both as a full time because, you know, it's very hard. So like you have to like, yeah, basically compromise on either side, like, you know, either take one to a part time or that kind of thing. But yeah, yeah, does that answer your question? Sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Jotheeshwar, how about you? What interested you in a PhD? Because I guess, as you said, you've always been in the geotechnical field, getting more and more specialized.
Yeah, actually, the story starts in 2016. Like immediately after my bachelor's, I started working for a geotechnical consultant. Like means initially means I was competent enough to go with the experiments and lab test everything. But at some point, I felt like during some advanced test, I was so much lagging, and I couldn't cope up with the concepts behind the surveys, whatever they were conducting. So I thought the undergrad is not enough for me to shine in the field. So I considered taking a master's. While doing master's, I enjoyed the process of learning and teaching everything. I was involved in tutoring everything. So I thought teaching is also in my is my cup of tea. So I thought I should do further research and so that I can end up in academia.
Right, for sure. Thank you for that. And oftentimes with academic careers and research interests, they're often geographically quite restricting. It's more than likely for one to move to a different country to pursue their passion, you know, due to funding, expertise, and all that. And then this question is for Jotheeshwar as well. Having done both your undergrad and postgrad masters in India, what was your initial experience like when you began your PhD at the University of Sydney?
Yeah, means like about choosing University of Sydney, like I was very specific about the country, like where there is more application for geotechnical engineering. We know Australia is very good at mining and offshore geotechnics. Means in Australia we have so much we know mining is the most contributing factor for the economy of Australia. So I thought I would get more experience in real-time geotechnics. So and being starting the starting experience at University of Sydney was like I was totally surprised by the work culture. Like they work only from 8 to 5, not more than that, and not in the weekends. Like back in India, like we used to work all the day, even public holidays. PhD students and master students will stay at the lab, and even though working for limited time, University of Sydney produces good quality research. That's what I was really amazed, and I felt like even I could also produce quality research by working in a limited time. That was the first impression of University of Sydney I got.
Oh wow, that's a very interesting insight. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Tim, this question's for you. What do you find rewarding about being a research student?
Yeah, so I'll say compares undergrad, like when I was undergrad, like we normally learn stuff from a coursework, which is basically there's a unit coordinator that basically grab everything into the slides and basically just feed you, right? But when I started my PhD, this was all gone. So I basically had to study myself in my own directions. So I think the biggest thing I learned from my PhD work is I'll say my problem solving skills. I can actually don't rely on coursework. I can study stuff by myself. So I think that's the biggest rewarding that I'm getting. Even though I'm getting knowledge on my specialties, but I wouldn't say that's a long-term benefit. It is a short-term benefit on my specialist. But if you want something long-term benefit, I think that problem-solving skills or like self-learning skills, that's more rewarding. Yeah, so and while I'm doing this, because I started dealing with my data set really big. I'll probably call it big data. So I actually developed the skills learning big data, build machine learning as well. So I'll say those are skills that benefit in long term. That's the ones that I guess I value the most. Cool.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. Yutaka, how about you? What do you find interesting about being a research student?
I like the experimental part. So like I hypothesize the stuff, like the issue that I face with like a laser, and I hypothesize like what posing the issues. And first I take it to a computer simulation, if it works as expected, and then take it to a real experiment, see if it's like working as I predicted. Like seeing that, like how do I say, seeing my hypothesis being okay in the real field is a quite, how do I say, a good
Rewarding.
part of like research career, I guess. Another thing is like, how do I say, you can steer your research in your direction. It's similar to what Tim says. Like it's like it's open, like the direction's open. You can take it to one way or the other. That's like you have a control of your, how do I say, research direction kind of thing. It's a good thing about being PhD, I say.
Would you consider that as more freedom compared to like an undergrad, for example?
Yes, true. Yeah, in undergrad, like there is a set solution for most of the time, and then you need to direct yourself to the solution. But here we don't see where the solution is, but we just have to, I don't know, crawl in the dark, kind of stuff. Yeah.
And I saw Tim nodding there as well, so I'll take it from you guys. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Jotheeshwar, how about you? What do you find rewarding about being a PhD student?
To be frank, like every day means reward is very less in PhD. What I yeah, means it's just a means everyday progress. Means we just consider it. Means if we get something positive result, it is a reward. That's it. Self satisfaction is the reward I would suggest. Means I will tell. Nothing rewarding in PhD. Like if you are passionate about research, you have to wait for a long time for the fruitful breakthrough. Until then, every small success is a reward for the self-satisfaction. That's it.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting point you make there, because even by the end of the PhD, you might not be able to entirely solve the problem. Instead, just make a significant impact or even a small impact, which is a win, is it not? Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Cool. And then moving right on from that, and maybe Jotheeshwar, you can take this as well. What's the most challenging part about being a PhD student?
Means one thing is like the PhD here is totally different. Generally, Work-life balance is totally a most difficult thing in PhD. But in Australia, I feel it is much better. Like we can have a balanced social life and also the professional life. But generally, it is the problem. But another challenge is like we can end up with nothing. Means we will be working for whole 3 years. By the end of the third year, you could have means you will be having a thesis, but it won't be any fruitful work. But we should be get along with that. It's a process. Like research is like means searching for something, but we can end up with nothing also.
Yeah, definitely. And then I especially liked you speaking about the balance there, and I wanted to ask you that as well. But I guess I'll just wait until Leo joins and then ask all of you together.
Yeah.
And Yutaka, let me mix it up a bit. What do you find is the most challenging part of being a research student?
I think it's quite, how do I say, how do I say, it's quite, for me, the hardest part is to like, how do I say, like my experiment is not within the uni. I have to go somewhere else to do it. And then planning those is like quite difficult for me. Like we're in a short while. I think it's the management of time or like management of scheduling. So like if you want to do your experiment, when you're gonna do it, or like, and then once you get the data, when you're going to like take it to like analysis machine, like microscope or like other stuff to look at it, like it's quite difficult because you also have a teaching, like usually have like a tutorial teaching kind of stuff. So like it's quite, I think the hard part is managing the own time. It's quite difficult, I say.
Right. So would you
Yeah.
say the admin part of PhD is quite difficult because you need to do everything yourselves?
Yeah. I wish I had a secretary who does all the things for me, but you know, yeah.
Is that something you miss from an undergrad, like having a timetable and having things due by a certain time?
Yeah. That's I think a good part. I mean, like that's definitely like makes the life easier for a student. Yeah.
For sure. Thank you for being
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Tim, how about you? What do you find challenging?
Yeah, I think I'll look back to the problem solving skills. Like I just found it really hard to develop my self-learning or problem solving skills initially, because I came from an undergrad degree and where you get support from uni coordinator, and I came into a PhD student where basically you don't get that much support, even though my supervisor is pretty supportive, but it's just not something that she's really specialist in, because as a PhD you have to be like specialist in one direction, and your coordinator can only help you in rough directions, but like they can't help you in details. So I just found out at the beginning I just getting under supported, but after a while, like I just figure out a way that I could start learning things for myself. And then once I start getting the skills being in place, that I could basically just start learning things for myself. And it's been going for that for I would say more than half a year now. So now everything's going so smooth after that. So I guess self-learning skill is something that we should aim for, like even when you're doing your bachelor's, or benefit you in your long term, I would say.
Right. That's definitely interesting. You also mentioned at the beginning that when you're doing a PhD, you have like a lot of freedom. Would you ever say that having a lot of freedom also poses as a challenge?
Yeah, I would say so, because like even though your supervisor or anyone else, they wouldn't know where this is gonna be at. Like to dig into literature, see where the gap is, see where you wanna go, and that just have a lot of uncertainties. And I was so bad at making decisions back then, but I don't know, you reach a point that you know the stuff very well and you know where you should go is the best. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. And Tim, I might just go back
Yeah.
to you. As well as doing a PhD, you also tutor at the university, and I know you tutor transport systems. So
Yeah.
when you have so many things going on, how do you manage like your social research and like professional life?
So yeah, so I gotta say I'm not good at time management, but like when it comes on tutor, I limit my hours per week. There's one semester I did 10 hours per week of tutoring, and that basically just trains me out, and I learn my lessons from that. So now I limit myself to I think 6 hours a week, which is about right. And yeah, so I'm not so good at time management, so um I don't know, like I still I'm not saying that I don't go out, I just focus on work. Like we still go out as PhD and stuff, like we still enjoy our lives. But yes, so I don't know, like I just generally try to make my hour as more efficient as possible. Like because we have a lot of flexibility as PhD student. Like when I don't feel really tired, I don't really feel like working, I just don't like I rather have a rest and then come back after, like come when energetic and do stuff efficiently instead of like just sitting there pretend doing work. So that's one path I take. And I don't know, I just personally find out that when I'm working in the office, it is always more efficient than working from home, where I may end up on the sofa and stuff. So are having the same feelings while doing bachelor as well. So I don't know, like if people are having in the same situation as me, I'll probably encourage you guys to come PNR or Fisher SciTech study, where you get environment, where you can do group studying, where you can work with your friends. And personally, I think that's more efficient. So cool. Yeah. So I guess I just try to maximize efficiency when I do work and try to enjoy my life when I'm not so efficient. So yeah.
Cool, interesting. Thank you. Jotheeshwar, how about you? I know you briefly mentioned this before, but you know, when you have so many things going on, how do you manage time?
Right now, I don't do any tutoring, first of all. And means as I said earlier, like we have regular meetings with my supervisors. So if the thing is, like end of the year we have an API, means one annual progress review, and we cannot have regular progress if we don't have any checkpoints. So every week we review our progress so that we are on track. That is the only thing we can do with this. The rest of the thing is out of our hands. Like particularly like me, who is doing totally experiments, we are bound to do experiments only in the presence of someone else in the lab. We can't do the experiments alone. So people who are doing experiments, they should be more precise in their planning. So that's it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. How about like your social and professional life? How do you manage it when doing a PhD? Because oftentimes,
Social, I'm a very
sorry, I think you got cut off.
sorry, I couldn't. Can you?
Oh yeah, sorry, I think you got cut off there. But basically what I
Yeah.
was asking was, are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So basically what I was asking
Yeah.
was, how do you balance your social and your research life, I guess? Because when there's no timetable and there's a lot of freedom, it's often easy to get lost in to and fall into a hole where all you're doing is researching. So how do you like maintain that balance?
Yeah, it was quite easy after coming to Sydney, because like weekends are free. We just plan anything, my social activities only on the weekends, and weekdays I'll be busy with my lab activities. So, but back in India, when I was working from home, it was very difficult to balance. Like even I have fortnightly meetings and checkpoints. It was very difficult to catch up the goals. But means pretty after reaching it is pretty simple. Like weekdays for work and weekends for fun. That's it.
Cool,
Simple.
keeping it simple. I like that.
Yeah.
Yutaka, how about you? How do you manage your time? How do you, and I know you tutor as well. So
yeah, I'm not really good at time management. That's one thing I want to say. But basically, I try to like work while, how would I say, how would I say, like I don't have much other like social activities anyway, because I'm like a bit introverted. So like I guess I spend more time in the office than a normal people, and like like every now and then I just take a rest, the kind of thing. So like sorry, like it's not really good answer, but like I'll just like I can't manage time well, so I just spend more time. So makes sense, sacrificing my social bit. That's what I do. So,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Oh no, so this must be a nightmare for you, being in front of 250
No,
people.
it's okay. It's okay.
Even if you knock the door, knock the office by 12 p.m., he will be there. Like one day I lost, means I forgot the access card, and I just just for a try I mailed Yutaka, and he was there to open the door.
Oh wow. Cool. All right. All right. So the next question I had is, what are some things you believe people mistake about being a PhD research student? Was there anything that surprised you when you initially began your research? And maybe I can start with Tim.
Yeah. So I guess yeah, I see the biggest mistake, like we're not working like 24/7. Like we do have a good balance between our social life and our PhD stuff generally. But it really depends on the supervisor as well, because my supervisor treat weekends so seriously that we generally don't do any work at all when it's holiday and weekend. So yeah. So, and also I guess another common thing that I think people misunderstand about PhD is so even though like we have a title, so for example, I'm a transfer PhD student, but I don't know everything about transfer. Like we more focusing on one direction. As a specialist, I'll say we more like specialists rather than a GP. So we if you ask us some like something in other direction in transfer, I may not be able to give you a good answer. So yeah, and when I just started my research, I just so glad I work with my supervisor, Emily. So she's actually so supportive, like, and yeah, I don't know, like support you anyways, in my lives, in my PhD research work as well, in my conference. Yeah, so I guess really depends on the supervisor, but yeah, I think I was just so glad I deal with Emily. So yeah.
So she's like a mentor for you, not just in uni, but also in life, in a way.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Thank you. And we might just revisit this question because I see Leo's here.
Cool.
Thank you so much for joining us, Leo. And just to get started, would you like to just briefly introduce yourself and a bit about your research and what you're looking into?
Yeah. How you doing, Leo? Sorry to join late. I just had to work until 5:30. But yeah, so my name is Leonardo. Everyone calls me Leo. I'm on my third year of my PhD now. Doing research like literally right now. As in the lab, that's where I am at the moment. My research is on geomaterials. So I'm doing experiments on sand and acid under the supervision. Like you can see my experiment there. It's just been running for like a good 3 hours and a half. Like have to like keep an eye on it. Anyway, I'm under the supervision of Francois and Itai. I don't know if you know them yet, but if you're in third year, you might know Francois already. Yeah, so third year of my PhD, looking at SANS, and yeah, that's what I do.
Cool. Thank you so much. And there was one question that we already went through that I really wanted to ask you, because I know you have a lot going on like in your life right now as well, because you tutor as well. So how do you like manage your time and how do you balance your social research / professional life?
Yeah, I don't. No, it's a tough one for sure. I teach quite a bit. Um, I think you really need to be on the mindset that you can't have a lot of time for everything. There's just little time for every single task. And you need to be aware of your limits as well. At the beginning of my PhD, I tutored 4 different subjects, and that was quite taxing. I ended up having to come to uni 7 days a week from pretty much 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. or 1 a.m. I was very dedicated to what I was doing then. And I really wanted to work that many, so I just had to do that. It really depends on how much dedication you're willing to put in, and whether you can compartmentalize your time well as well. So if you're pretty good at letting go of work and just resting when you're allowing yourself to rest, then it gets a little better. Otherwise, if it takes a lot more time for you to let go of things, let go of the work things that you might have been doing, then of course I wouldn't recommend it. But the way I manage my time is, right now I'm very diligent with my calendar, and I make sure to check it because I'm a very forgetful person. So pretty much every single thing, even if it's with friends, I make a calendar event. It makes me feel like a very old person, but I have to, because otherwise I won't remember. And I think that's the first thing. Be organized. Make sure you will force yourself to remember things, and what you've committed to. The other thing is, to always underestimate your abilities. So if you think that it's going to take you 3 hours to study for something, or 3 hours to get something done, just allocate more time. Always give yourself enough room to do things, and make informed decisions on it. So don't bite more than you can chew. So if you don't think that you would be able to handle this much time for work, then don't. So yeah, be organized, make informed decisions, and give yourself time as well. I'm never shy to take a break. And like I think most of my friends here, they would know that, I never shy away from holidays, or going to the pub after 5. You need that time. You need a time to go and do something that just makes you happy and relaxed, and it's like nothing's happening. And you can definitely allocate time for it. It's not doing a PhD or doing doing a lot of work is, and having a bit of fun are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they complement each other. So those are the 3 things that I guess I do.
That's really lovely advice to hear. Thank you so much. Now, just revisiting the question that I was asking the panel before, I might just get you, Leo, I might just get your thoughts on this. What are some things that you believe people mistake about being a PhD research student? And then what surprised you when you initially began your research? Just something brief.
Right. Well, I think that, I thought that PhD students would have to dedicate their entire lives to what they did, solely to the PhD. And I found that to not be the case. I find that I can still take care of myself. I can still do the things that I like besides research. And on top of that, I think that the stigma that I had on research before, it being really hard, very inaccessible, and only for people that are incredibly smart, that's not really the case. It's not true. we all have our strengths. I'm doing an experimental topic because that's what I know I'm strong in. I know that I'm good with hands-on things. I know that I'm good at preparing stuff, making things happen physically, as opposed to going into theoretical research, which involves a lot more reading, developing of models, and so on and so forth. I think that that stigma of dedicating your entire life to your PhD, or not doing it at all, that was the biggest thing that I found not to be true.
Interesting. Thank you so much. This next question, I might direct it to Yutaka. If you had to give one piece of advice to an undergrad student who aims to do a PhD one day, what advice would you give them?
That's a difficult question again. Let me think about. I think if you want to do research, don't hesitate to take it. Like some people hesitate on like, oh, if I do PhD, I'll be too nerdy and like, maybe not useful in the industry kind of stuff. But if you want to do it, I think it's just do it. And then like, there is no harm, I guess. Like, even you, I mean, like even you get PhD, you're still qualified for like a graduate job anyway. So if that's the factor that's stopping you from like considering like research, and then like because I'll be like I want to work in the industry in the future, but you can still like, I mean, just because you have a PhD doesn't mean you have to stay in the school. There's still a lot of employee that have PhD works in private company or like some research institution too. So yeah, that's my advice, I guess. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you so much. And speaking of future, this question's for everyone, and I might just start with Jotheeshwar. What's next? What do you plan on doing after your PhD?
Yeah, as I said earlier, like I would like to end up in academia, but before that, I would like to gain some industrial experience. Like as I said before, means since we have a hell lot of job in mining in Australia, I would like to get some means position which is more related to field geotechnics or in the offshore geotechnics. I would just I'm looking forward to gain some industrial experience so that I can give more insights for my students.
Cool, thank you. Tim, how about you? What's next for you?
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't decided yet. I still got like 2.5 years to go. But yeah, I guess I actually want to be in the field, like actually design intersection and stuff. But I don't know, I gotta see the pay rates as well. Like if we save up for
completely
houses
fair.
and stuff. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. Leo, how about you? What do you plan on doing after your PhD?
Yeah, that's a question I ask myself quite often. I am not entirely sure where I'm going to end up. I didn't even know that I was going to do a PhD until my 4th year of uni, and then I ended up here. The future for me is quite uncertain. I don't know, but it's also exciting. I think a PhD, like Yutaka says, it's quite useful because I think it gives you tools. You come to research and you learn a lot about coding. You learn a lot about experimental techniques. You learn about a lot about something that you didn't know that you were going to learn about. And that gives you the chance to go and explore something different, right? I think that academia might not be where I stay. But I do want to try something research-based, like research for a company, perhaps a construction company. Companies like Liang and Rook or CPB, they have research departments that you can join. And I have been thinking about trying for those after my PhD.
Oh, that's definitely an interesting avenue. Thank you. And Yutaka, how about you? Do you know what you want to do next?
That's the question I've been thinking for a couple of months now, after seeing a lot of my friends graduating. But I still not too sure if like I know that academia is quite, how do I say, it's not just competitive, but it's also like quite quite difficult, you know, like to stay in the school. And I think it could be interesting, but then thinking about I don't know, working in the industry isn't too bad either, except like I don't know, research could be more intellectually rewarding, but like I don't know, it's I haven't decided. Sorry, I can't really say.
No, it's completely a fair
Sorry.
answer.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right. Thanks heaps, guys, for that honest and informative interview. And now I'll pass it on to Liv to carry out the Q&A.
Thanks, Anju. Hi, everyone. Like Anju said, my name's Liv. I'll be running the Q&A section of this interview. I'm just going to share my screen. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Cool. Thank you. So the first question, what does the PhD application process look like and how do you get accepted? Tim, would you like to answer this question first?
Yeah, I think we now basically just taking the sending process. Basically, there's a website for this on USYD, and I think you could do this at the same procedure how the should I say center of the uni wanted to be. But if you want to speed up the process, you gotta know your supervisor well, and they could chase you up while you process it. And it's more like a two tick. So one tick is about uni, it's like hard tick, hard boundary. The second tick is about supervisor. So I'll suggest if you really want to do a PhD, so try to find your supervisor first, get that tick done, and then your supervisor help you get the uni tick done. So yeah.
Yeah. And how would you say you find your supervisor? Like, would it be smart to align yourself with someone good for your thesis or?
So I would say each of supervisor can get, they have their own specialists. So I would say if you don't know what to do now, you should better start with finding what topic interests you the most. You don't want to end up being a PhD doing the work you don't like for like 3 or 4 years. That's really bad. It's really painful. So you should think of what topic you want to do, and also think of is this something you want to do for your whole life? Because if you finish PhD, you're pretty good at that direction, you probably end up in that direction. So that's a pretty big decision, I'll say. And from your topic, I'll say pick your supervisor from your topic, and pick the supervisor that are actually pretty good at on your topic. I think I mentioned this a bit earlier. Like I'll say the supervisors are like specialists as well. They don't know everything in the field or in civil. They have their own directions. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And the next question is, how does the funding work for PhD studies? Are there any review processes of your work? Jotheeshwar, would you like to take this question?
Yeah, it is quite a different process for international students and domestic students. I feel like I had a totally different straightforward. I just had an interview with first of all we should convince the supervisor he should be ready to supervise you. Then he suggests you number of scholarships to apply. And the scholarship scrutiny process, like they consider your UG score, undergrad score, master score, a number of publications you have, and the experience you have. According to that, you just come up in the list of the applicants. If you are lucky, you get awarded. That's it. Means there are a number of scholarship, but anyway, means if your supervisor is convinced, he will land you up in any scholarship which you are eligible, and hopefully you can get it. Yeah.
Wonderful. And that kind of relates. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just on that question, funding can come from pretty much anywhere. It can come from the Australian Research Council all the way to your supervisor's grant, right? So this is the money that your supervisor has for research. Anyone can fund your research as long as someone is willing to. That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
And if you are just on what Jotheeshwar said, if you're a Sydney Uni undergraduate or a Sydney Uni masters, you have an advantage, or you are considered even more for the Sydney Uni scholarships.
Right.
So if you graduated from here and you want to do a PhD, then you already have a little bit of an advantage to do a PhD here, in terms of that, in
makes
terms of
sense.
scholarship and funding.
Yeah.
For
And
sure,
also,
yeah.
yeah, we have a friend like who is funded by a private company which is located in Western Australia. Like as Leo said, anyone can fund. If we also means companies directly sponsor students and they just try to find a supervisor to supervise for the academia part. That also happens.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I didn't realize there were so many ways to go about it, but that's pretty cool. And that kind of links to another question that was down here. If someone doesn't have a high WAM right now, would you still encourage them to do a PhD in the future? Jyotish, would you want to take this one as well? Because it was a bit similar to what you were saying.
Means like credits?
Yeah. So like just the results, I guess.
Okay, means for international students, I think it is very difficult with less credits, but I'm not sure with the domestic students. But still, there are so many while I know few of my friends who work in an industry and register part-time. That is possible if they are still passionate about research and they don't have good credits. They can do it, do some industrial or sandwich research program. Still, they get PhD.
Yeah, and if they're in the undergraduate right now, and their results aren't how they would like, but they're still keen to be a PhD student, would you still say go for it, or is there a bit of a limit?
If still they're passionate about the research, they should they can have another option, like they can do masters, they can hit up the grades and then they can go back for research. Yeah.
Okay, for sure. So next question, what does your day-to-day look like? Yutaka, would you like to take this one?
Oh yeah, so
besides
my
not
day is
leaving.
like quite boring. I come uni around like 10, 11ish, because I'm like slow starter. And today I went to but today I woke up early, so I came uni about 9:30, and then I did my experiment recently. So I was assessing the experimental like data. So I had to take my samples to laser microscope and scan my sample. So I've been scanning the sample till like 2 o'clock. From 9 to 2, and then from 2 o'clock I had like a teaching allocation. So I tutor material for not civil school. This is for the other school, so for aero and mechanical school. So I did tutoring from 2 to 3, and then 4 to 5, and they had like a 1 hour break, but I had like an online conference to attend between 3 to 4. So I attended 3 to 4 online conference, and then 4 to 5 is the tutoring, and then 5 to now is I was quite busy today. but like it's typically, if there's no tutoring or no like conference, I will just do my like either I do like, I don't know, the experimental analysis or experiment itself, or maybe like doing some computer simulation all day till like I usually come at 10, leaves around like 10 at night-ish, kind of thing. So yeah, sorry. Yeah.
That's all good. So very busy people, basically. That's the moral of the story. So next question for Tim. Why did you choose a PhD rather than a master's degree for your postgraduate study?
So I personally just think basically master degree, I'll say I'm talking about master of philosophy, not the course of a master degree. So if you do a master of philosophy and PhD is pretty similar work, but just PhD is longer. And I don't know, I just had the opportunity to just like skip my master degree. I was like, why don't I just take it? And so master of philosophy is more like a half 1 year and a half, like 2 years. PhD in like 3.5 or 4 years. So I was like, I probably don't care that 2 years, probably just get a full set of it done. I'll call it full set. It's like yeah, I'll say it's more like eating dinner. Like master is like eating half of it, and PhD eating the full dishes. And they're both eating, but it's eating for a bit longer. And I don't know, I just feel rather I'll just do a PhD and get everything done. And PhD basically the highest degree you can get for. And I guess it just saved me a lot of trouble. And also, I had a pretty good friend, and he's basically just when I started my PhD, he's about finishing his master of philosophy, and he wanted to do a PhD after that. But he had the opportunity to jump through to PhD as well before he started a master degree. And I see how it's feeling a bit of regret. I'll say I'll just jump straight to PhD, so I don't have to do the master degree. So I think that's one thing changing as well. Then
yeah, makes sense. Yeah, a lot of people say to just get in and do your study straight away, and then you can figure out the rest of it. So just a final last question, Leonardo, how different is doing a PhD to doing a regular uni degree? Like, what's the main difference between the two?
Sorry, I was muted. Drive, I would say drive is the main difference in a regular uni degree. And by that, I am taking that you mean a coursework uni degree. Yeah, an undergrad. You've got assignments, you've got deadlines, you've got very well-defined questions for you to do, right? So every single assessment that you did in uni was something that said, well, do this, and you have this much period of time, and we'll grade that in the end. But that all happens in the span of at most 13 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Doing a PhD is doing one assignment that is huge, right? It's doing one assignment in 3.5 years, around 3.5 years. So motivation comes is a big change, because you have to drive your project, and you are also responsible for your project. So your supervisor is there to help, but your supervisor is not the one that's marking you. It's not the one that's going to go like, yeah, you've got a PhD now. It's going to be people outside of the university, outside reviewers are going to look at your work and determine whether or not that's enough for a PhD. So while your supervisor is there to help, they're not going to force you to work either. So you decide when to work, you decide how you work. Essentially, you only take directions from your supervisors, but the one that is actually in charge of what you're doing is you. And in uni, I used to leave everything, like I would be very comfortable leaving things to the last minute. An assignment done in one night is fine. You can't do a PhD in one night, right? You need to constantly work on it. You need to be organized enough to define deadlines, to make a plan and stick to it, but also know what to do when your plan falls apart completely, because that will almost definitely happen. Most of the people that you speak to start their PhDs thinking that they're going to do something, and they end up doing something very different from what their plan was. So yeah, I would say it's very different. And the main difference for me is what drives you to do it.
Fair enough.
The work, or how did it work?
Passion, I guess. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. That kind of concludes the Q&A section. Sorry for the audience, we ran a bit over time, but great answers, everyone, and it's been really nice hearing from you all. I'll hand back over to Anju now to do a bit of a wrap up.
Awesome. Thanks, Liv. And thank you so much, gentlemen, for sharing your thoughts and experiences today. It was really informative and engaging for all of us, and we're very appreciative of your time. And now for everyone's favorite moment, please turn on your cameras so we can take a quick picture. I'll just give a couple more seconds. Don't be shy. All right, cool. Thank you so much, guys. And I think we'll call it a wrap there. And make sure to grab your Careers Nights tickets before they run out. Awesome. And thank you so much, Jotheeshwar, Tim, Yutaka, and Leo. Thank you so much.
No worries. Sorry for being late.
All good. Have a great evening.
Yeah, see you guys. Bye.
Thank you. And just a reminder that our Women in Industry panel is also tomorrow. It got postponed to tomorrow, so make sure you don't miss it. Thanks everyone for coming.